This is Wander001 with what I'm going to call a comparison video between two entry-level gaming mice. On the left is the Razer DeathAdder Essential Series gaming mouse, and on the right is the Logitech MX518, which is currently not sold anymore directly from Logitech. You can find it elsewhere. However, it's been replaced by the G400 series, which is similar in every way, shape, and form except for the top being a little different, and it has a slightly higher DPI. But this is a comparison video, and both of these mice I've done in-depth individual reviews on, so I will link to those above each of the mice if you're interested in more in-depth specs. So like I said, this is a comparison video between these two entry-level gaming mice. As you can see just by the side-by-side, they are actually similar in shape and size. However, at the top here, we do have very subtle differences. As you can see on the left, the Razer DeathAdder has pulsing LED lights in the heel, and the scroll wheel also has a steady LED light, while the MX518 does not have any pulsating lights. The top of the DeathAdder is a matted, rubberized texture to help keep your hand from slipping, which is nice. And the top of the MX518 is kind of like this silky, smooth sticker that makes it look like a 3D hologram, which, you know, as you use the mouse, your hand gets sweaty and kind of gets cruddy. If we take a closer look at the scroll wheels, you will see that on the DeathAdder, the scroll wheel is actually fairly thick compared to the Logitech's, which is very thin. However, the DeathAdder's is white compared to the black of the Logitech, so this one will show dirt and grime a lot more than this. Now, both of these mice have on-the-fly Dpi changing. However, on the DeathAdder, you will have to change in the Synapse standalone programming either the scroll wheel, or I'll show you later on the side, these two buttons to change the DPI on the fly setting. With the Logitech MX518, you have standard DPI down and DPI up settings. So that kind of feature I like on the Logitech more so than the DeathAdder. Both mice do have an angled forward design so that as you lay your hand on it, your natural position is to be facing forward. However, with the Razer mouse, the clicking surfaces, or the click buttons, have deep grooves that your fingers could sit into, as well as being flared out, which is kind of nice, so you don't have to worry so much about where you're clicking. It also clicks pretty far back. With the Logitech mouse, you're kind of limited to this very narrow shape, and the buttons don't flare out, so you might find yourself at some points slipping off the side. Now we'll cover the side. Now onto the side of the mice where the forward and back buttons reside. As you can see, the Razer mouse on the left has a very shiny surface, and the Logitech mouse is now matted. The buttons on the Razer are rather large, which is nice, as opposed to the smaller Logitech buttons. However, Logitech has this nice finger groove that your thumb naturally sits into, while on the Razer, if you're not using the buttons, you're going to sit just underneath it, and your hand is going to sit very close to the bottom of the mouse, so as you mouse, your thumb will be dragging across the surface. With the Logitech mouse, that's not so much of a problem, because you have this nice inlay. I did forget to mention that with these mice, obviously you could see they are corded mice. The Logitech has a 6-foot standard cord, while the Razer has a 7-foot braided cord. Now, they say it's for added stability and prolongs the life of the cord. However, as I said in the actual review for this mouse, the braid actually, in my opinion, kind of is just a played up extra. When you get into the bends of the cord, it can fray, and underneath is just a standard plastic sheathing anyway. The underside of the mice are pretty similar in the fact that they have the super slippy Teflon style feet. However, with the DeathAdder, you have two shoulders and a heel, and with the Logitech, you have just a large shoulder, heel, but it also has this little side slip. They pretty much mouse the same. I haven't noticed any real differences between the two when scrolling. They both are infrared, optical mice. This one has an infrared sensor with a DPI up to 3500, and the lowest is 800, while the Logitech is low setting of 400 and up to 1600. The G400 series that replaced the MX518 actually has a DPI up to 3500. With this, in higher DPI settings, if you're not using a mouse pad and you're just using it on any old wooden surface or any other type of surface, the mouse will start skipping, and you really need a mouse pad to help keep it in line. The Logitech here has what they call an Optical Engine, which at the higher DPIs prevents the mouse from skipping and will allow for smooth mousing across the screen. So with this guy, I can actually use it on any surface, even at high DPI, and not have to worry. And a quick look at the other side of the mouse. Here you have that shiny surface on the Razer mouse and the matte finish on the Logitech, again with that slight indentation groove for your finger and to sit on. There's a slight groove on the Razer mouse, but it's not as noticeable as with the Logitech. Now, viewing the back end of these mice, you can see that both of them have a right hand orientation with a sweep to the right hand side of the mouse. However, on the Razer, you'll notice that it is a more pronounced sweep to the right hand side. With the Logitech, it is a little shallower. And with that, for my personal preferences, it actually makes it a little more comfortable. After a while, my hand kind of feels funky using the Razer mouse. With that said, also you can notice that the Logitech is a little narrower than compared to the Razer mouse, and for my little small hand, the Razer mouse fits a little more comfortably. Each of the mice does come with its own special proprietary software. With the Logitech mouse, it comes with a software known as Setpoint. Now, it will allow you to remap all of the buttons on the mouse, as well as set the DPI on the fly settings and change the sensitivity of the mouse and all this other fun stuff. However, with Setpoint, you can actually change the lines that you could scroll through with the mouse wheel. With the Razer, you cannot change how many lines you scroll through with the scroll wheel here. You're limited to whatever the default setting was. And Setpoint does also have a gaming function that's special for the gaming mice brands that they do. As I said, you can change the DPI, and there are the specific DPI changing buttons. Now, with the DeathAdder, it comes with proprietary software known as Synapse. And for this mouse, at the time I reviewed it, it has Synapse 2.0. And what that is, it's a cloud-based system that will allow you to, yet again, remap all of the buttons, change the glow. In this case, you could see I turned off the glow so that the camera could focus a little easier. But with it being web-based, you can take the mouse and plug it into any computer and log into Synapse, and it will allow you to take your settings with you for this particular mouse. Also, it will allow you to have multiple mice or multiple devices to a singular profile, and will list them all at the bottom. Again, with Synapse, you also have an ability to program macros, which the Logitech Setpoint does not have. So realistically, between the two softwares, I prefer the Razer software to the Logitech software, even though Logitech gives you the line scrolling. Now, price-wise, you're looking at the DeathAdder being between $59 and $47 at the cheapest during the filming of this, and the MX518 is out of stock from Logitech. They don't make it anymore, or at least they don't sell it on their website anymore. If you go elsewhere, it'd be about 40 bucks. If you go for the newer version of this, the G400 series that I've been mentioning, that's between $34 and $50, depending on where you get it. With all of these things, I actually prefer the Logitech, even though, like I stated, I like the Synapse software better than the Setpoint software. But as a general basic entry-level gaming mouse, I feel for the price and the features that you get from the Logitech mouse, you'll be better served, even though the Razer in itself is a good gaming mouse. It's kind of a little higher than what I would consider a baseline entry level. So if you're looking for a starter gaming mouse, I would definitely go with the Logitech MX518 or the Logitech it's Logitech G400, which is the replacement for the MX518. One other bit to note is that the Razer over the Logitech is slightly heavier. So if you're looking for a lighter gaming mouse or just a lighter mouse in general, the weight on the Logitech versus the weight on the Razer will be less. So if you're looking for a slightly lighter mouse, this would be better than this.